with your Masters update. I'm Ian Sachs. Tied for first place is Bubba Watson and Jordan Spieth at 5 under par. Watson shot a 2 over today, and Spieth went 2 under. In a two-way tie for third place, we've got Matt Kuchar and Jonas Blixt at 4 under par. Tied for fifth, we have Miguel Angel Jimenez and Ricky Fowler at 3 under par. They each shot at least 5 under par. Jimenez went 6 under today, and Fowler went 5 under today. Seventh place, we have Jim Furyk and Lee Westwood, 2 under par for the tournament. And also Thomas Bjorn is also tied with them for 7th at 2 under. Coverage of the Masters will be also through tomorrow as the chase for the green jacket continues. With your Masters update, I'm Ian Sachs. Alright, we are back now with another segment, and we have our Western Conference segment coming up right here. We've got 6 playoff seeds locked up now, with Golden State clinching either one of the last 2 nights. So now we're down to 2 more spots to be decided between Memphis, Phoenix, and Dallas. Right now, Phoenix is on the outside looking in. But we are looking at the playoff picture from right now. So we're going to start it off. We're putting Memphis at the 8th seed, because that's where they're sitting. They're tied with Phoenix, but they own the tiebreaker. And then Dallas, a half game ahead of them, we have them at the 7. So we're going to start it off. We're going to go with the San Antonio and Memphis 1-8 matchup.
Yeah, this 1-8 matchup, I see the Spurs dominating this on all aspects of the court. San Antonio, I think, will win this series easily, posing Memphis as no threat. The reason why is because Memphis, I don't see them spacing the floor. They don't have knockdown shooters. Michael Conley has been playing really well this year at the point guard position. They obtained Courtney Lee, who could sort of shoot the ball, and Tayshaun Prince was never really known as a scorer. He's really a defender. And Marcus Gasol is that big man down low who has been struggling this year. And Zebo's been playing good, but this team cannot match up with the Spurs, and we're gonna see a rematch of the Western Finals, and it's not gonna be that pretty for Memphis. And I see San Antonio win every game by at least 10 points or more.
Well, history has repeated itself again. This matchup has a lot of history, right? We go back to when these teams were in the same current standings in their conference, and Memphis pulled off the upset. And then we go back to last year when San Antonio brought out the broom. However, I feel like San Antonio is bringing out the broom once again. I feel like just you look at the matchups and it just doesn't favor Memphis at all. I feel like, Zebo, he's not going to contain the big fundamental in Tim Duncan. And, I mean, they have, I guess, a big man who could shoot sort of with Marc Gasol, but you have the same thing with Tim Duncan, in my opinion. And then you have Mike Conley, who's a great player, but staying in front of Tony Parker, to me, no shot. And then just look at the San Antonio assets. Both teams improved, I guess, with new acquisitions. Marco Bellinelli for the Spurs and Mike Miller for the Grizzlies. However, just Kawhi Leonard, to me, he's going to be a big factor in the Spurs playoff run. He's doing so much for them. He's guarding their primetime the players on the opposing teams, and he
can score too at will.
He can score at will. Bottom line, I predict this series being over in 4 games. It's going to be, I guess, somewhat good to watch, but it's not going to last long.
Blowouts.
I have to agree with you. The Spurs have 2 images going through their mind all summer and all season from the NBA Finals from last year. Of course, the image that everyone has from the Finals, Ray Allen's 3 at the end of Game 6 in the Western Conference in the NBA Finals that pretty much killed San Antonio's chances of closing it out in Game 6.
Jumped off my couch when I saw that.
You were rooting for San Antonio too?
Yeah, I was. I'm not a Miami guy.
Who was rooting for LeBron to win another ring? Nobody. Please.
And another image that they're going to have, this one from Game 7, late in the game, Tim Duncan gets the ball right at the rim, and he misses the shot from point blank range, and then Miami goes on to win Game 7 and the NBA title. Those two images, I still remember the camera showing Tim Duncan's stare after missing that shot, just knowing that it was so disappointing that I think that they're just going to be on a buzzsaw to get back to the NBA Finals and to win a 5th ring with Pop and Duncan.
Yeah, and you would think it would kill their spirits, right? Honestly,
I think a big point on the San Antonio's success in the playoffs is going to have to come. Greg Popovich is one of the greatest coaches of our time and in this league, but he's going to have to make a better call. Like in the NBA Finals last year, he took out Tim Duncan with 50 seconds to go, and then they got that rebound, and then Ray Allen hit that 3. So I think Pop has to make better calls later on when it comes to substitution packages.
That's the thing, that a lot of coaches like to play Miami small.
Mm-hmm.
The way that what you were saying with Pop taking Duncan out there, and then also go to the Eastern Conference Finals, the end of Game 1 when LeBron James drove right to the rack to put in the game-winning layup and no Roy Hibbert on the court there.
Yeah, Frank Vogel made a bad move too.
So I think that when you play Miami, even if you don't have explosive bigs like a Dwight Howard or someone, I think you got to try to use whatever size you have and throw it at them.
These coaches,
throw it at them.
Coaches, they think, like you're saying, Ian, it's a good point, that size is the Heat are taking advantage of the opposing team's size, and honestly, I think the size can stop the Heat from scoring because the Heat struggle in the half-court offense. They're better in transition.
Size is the Heat's kryptonite, and if you have good posts, you got to throw it at them.
I don't know why teams think they're impaired when they have size over the Heat.
But anyway, we're
going on a tangent here.
We're going on a tangent. We already spoke about the Heat in the Eastern Conference. Jumping back over to the West, we all have San Antonio winning the first round pretty easily, and then they'll be matched up with a very interesting series. All the series out west are really interesting.
That's the real conference.
Yeah.
Good point. The 4-5 matchup is looking like Houston versus Portland. These two teams are separated by a half game right now for the 4-5. So really, all that means is who's going to get home court. Right now, Houston has the half game edge. So right now we have them as the 4 seed. It could very easily be Portland though. So I'm opening up to you. How is this series going to go?
I'm going to go with the upset. I bet you most of you guys have Houston win this series. I'm going to take Portland. I think Portland, when in the beginning of the season, this team was hot. If they can regain that spark from the beginning of the season and bring that alive in the playoffs and forget about their recent struggles. LaMarcus is back. He's healthy. Just ride Damian Lillard and Wesley Matthews. This team could score. And they have great bench production. And that's going to be a big factor in this series. A great bench versus a not-so-good bench in Houston. Houston has no bench. I don't see how a team can win an NBA Finals or even think about winning an NBA Finals when you don't have a 6-man and a core group of players following that 6-man into the game. And Houston does not have that. And
good point.
That's championship basketball starts with a productive bench. San Antonio, Miami, all these teams, Detroit, all these teams in recent history have won. Boston, they all had good benches. And Houston, this is going to come back and haunt them because they have a good starting lineup but no bench. And Portland has a favorable starting lineup that can match up with Houston. So do the math. Portland starting lineup and their bench will outdo Houston's starting lineup.
Oh yeah, and I think another detriment to Houston might be, okay, if you want to argue about the quality of their bench, you could say, Dwight Howard has a good center backing him up, but when you think about it, both of them are horrendous free throw shooters and just liabilities.
And Hazik can't score. He can't really score. He has no post game. He's a great intimidator down low, and he's a great rebounder, but he can't. He's not that guy to turn around on the half court offense and post up.
Oh yeah, he's an energy guy, basically.
So who do you have win the series?
However, I will disagree with you on Houston not winning this series. I feel like experience plays a factor in this. Portland has a young team. Like, they're very young. So is Houston. I mean,
yeah,
these
I was about
guys.
to say, where's the experience in Houston?
Of course, the experience comes from Houston's participation in the playoffs last season. I mean, Portland kind of, they didn't.
Houston hasn't been out of the first round in 10 years. Going way back to the Tracy McGrady time frame with Yao Ming. They haven't been out of the first round in 10 years.
They got out of the
I
first
guess
once.
OKC, yeah. My bad.
Once.
I picked that up before you said it. But, all right, once in 10 years. Come on. Houston always has records like this, and then they never get out of the first round. It's been haunting them.
Well, I'm going Houston. James Harden is going to just put on a show. Last year, when they were the 8th seed, they took on Oklahoma City and
brought them to 7 games, right?
6.
Oh.
Yeah, 6, and that was when Russell Westbrook went down, and then Houston won 2 games, and it was tied 2-2, and a lot of people thought OKC can't win without Westbrook. And I think that, you have Harden. He definitely has playoff experience. He's got a lot of it. First being with Oklahoma City, and then last year against Oklahoma City in the first round. So he definitely has a lot of playoff experience in the Western Conference. Then you've got Dwight Howard. You throw in one of the best big men in the playoffs. I like Houston to win this series. The Rockets, a lot of people had them as maybe in the running for the Western Conference championship. I think that it wouldn't surprise me. It might be a little bit of a stretch that they didn't quite live up to as much of their expectations as they have, but they still put together a great season, and they're going to win this series.
Wait, when was the last time Houston got out of the first round?
I believe.
Last year they lost in the first round.
No,
I thought that was last year.
No. It wasn't last year. It was maybe.
Didn't they beat the Lakers in the playoffs? I believe.
I'm telling you, they never got out of the first round in the last 10 years.
Yes, they did. They went once. It was the 1 year Tracy McGrady was injured, and everyone was making a whole big stink that now finally McGrady gets out of the first round, but he's injured. It was. I think it was either 2009 or 2010. It was one of the years that the Lakers won the NBA Finals, because I remember, I think it might have been 2009 or 2010. I think the Lakers beat them in the second round and then went on to beat Phoenix in the Western Conference Finals. But anyway, the past history really doesn't have too much
to this.
Doesn't really have too much to factor into this, but Armand can think that just because Houston hasn't gotten out of the first round that much recently, they won't this year. But that streak will end, right, Sean?
Yeah, I have Houston winning too. I got you on that one, Ian. Definitely.
Good call. It'll
be a good series though.
Good call.
Yeah, write this down for the pick'ems. I got Portland.
No pick'em today. But the other 2 series, let's start off with the 2-7 Oklahoma City and Dallas. Armand's Mavericks with Vince Carter. How many times is he going to come up? Everyone get your pen and papers out. Let's keep count of this. Armand?
You want to know what I think about the series? So I'm going to tell you what I think about the series. I'm going to tell you the truth. The truth being that...
No, the truth's in the Eastern Conference with Brooklyn.
No, not the Paul Pierce
Oh.
truth. I'm talking about the real truth, meaning the honest prediction of the series. The Thunder have absolutely owned the Dallas Mavericks in recent history. They swept them 2 years ago in the first round of the playoffs after the Mavericks won the championship. And then last year in the regular season, the Mavericks were swept by them again. So, in the last 2 years, Dallas has, combining with the playoffs, they were 12 and I think they won one game against OKC. They're 12-1. OKC was 12-1 against Dallas. However, this season the Mavericks adjusted their struggles against OKC, and they managed to split the season at 2-2. So, all right, they're improving against OKC, but in the playoffs, it's a whole different story. I can see Dallas maybe winning this game, winning one game. I can see it, but Dallas is gonna play them tough. OKC will not be able to take Dallas lightly. Dallas plays every team tough. They never get blown out, and they'll just lose in crunch time off a bonehead turnover by Monte Ellis or something, and Kevin Durant will hit a transition three. But something like that is how usually Dallas Mavericks lose the games, off the most ill-advised plays imaginable, and it comes back and haunts them. And I can see that happening in this series. And they're going to lose a couple of 2-point games to OKC. OKC wins in 5.
This series kind of interests me because remember, I believe Dallas suffered a sweep at the hands of Oklahoma City coming off of their championship year.
I just said that.
Yeah, so I mean it's kind of interesting. Both teams, play hard. Both teams, to me, are super competitive. Think of course they have a lot to gain. They both have potential to make a lot of noise. However, Oklahoma City picks up the dub. I will give them 6 games rather than 5. 6 games rather than 5. But
It's gonna be a good series.
Yeah.
It really is. Dallas will bring playoff basketball to the court.
The key thing for Dallas is, I think they're 3 key guys: Vince Carter, Monte, and Dirk. And they definitely need to play at a high caliber level consistently throughout the whole series. If Dallas, stands a fighting realistic chance, if we want to be on the outside looking in, saying, "Oh."
Another thing is that
watch out.
another thing is they're gonna have to watch. Since I watch every Dallas Maverick game, they're gonna have to. Dallas is not a very good rebounding team. They allow a lot of second chance points, and Serge Ibaka will be a big asset in OKC. If Dirk Nowitzki will not play soft and will be scrapping down low, Dallenberg needs to step up. Dallenberg needs to be that defensive intimidator that we know from his Philadelphia 76er days. And Sean Marion's going to have to – everyone's going to have to step up. And maybe Dallas can slip by with an upset, but it's not looking likely.
Kevin Durant and Scott Brooks have found a way to just excel this year, and they're going to keep it going right through right into the playoffs, and I think that they're going to say, we have Russell Westbrook, let's see what we can do full strength now. And Oklahoma City's, I think, going to win this series pretty easily. They have Ibaka down low, and they're gonna take it pretty easily. They have a good recent history against Dallas. Yeah, even though they split the season series, but as Armand was saying, the few sweeps recently, and I could see it being a sweep again. That I could very, very easily see that.
Could happen. It really could.
So now our final playoff matchup, we've got the 3 seed, the LA Clippers, and the 6 seed Golden State Warriors. 2 young, exciting teams. I think this is potentially the best matchup.
It absolutely is. I was trying to beat you to the punch, but you beat me. This is not first round playoff basketball. This is definitely semis, if not Eastern Finals. If they were in Western Finals. But this has the lights and the intensity of a second round matchup, most definitely. But I honestly like the Clippers advancing to the second round. Why? I think because DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin are more physical down low than David Lee and Andrew Bogut. Uh, Blake Griffin has emerged into not from an all-star to an MVP candidate, superstar, and DeAndre Jordan has emerged into a starting five center in the league. Like he's averaging double figures in points and rebounds this year, first time in his career, and he's a good case for most improved player of the year. So, and Chris Paul, no one's better than Chris Paul at run the point, and this team has a great bench. J.J. Redick, Jamal Crawford, you got names everywhere, and I think the Clippers will outshine the Warriors. It's going to be a high-scoring affair, but I got the Clippers winning in 7. It's going 7 games.
Yeah, I think this is going 7 games too. Wow, this series right here. This is a real marquee matchup, and it's a treat that it's a first round matchup. And to me, the key matchup is going to be Steph Curry and Chris Paul. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna give the advantage to Chris Paul. Chris Paul's a better defender of the two, so I feel like the Clippers will prevail though. You know, the Warriors have had a great season. They've gotten considerably better. You know, everyone questioned, you know, like they were smooth with Jared Jack last year, and then, you know, letting him go and replacing him with Iguodala. Is it going to be, if not better, worse? But no, like, they played playoff basketball, winning basketball, and they deserve to make a run in the playoffs. But the Clippers, however, will prevail. I think they have more assets. Their team, like Armand said, there's names loaded from top to bottom, even, you know, down to guys like Granger and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an exciting series, though. Athleticism at its finest, you know, but Blake Griffin and Chris Paul will ultimately seal the deal in Game 7.
This series is going to be up and down, athletic, fun to watch. But you know what? Last year, Golden State was a 6 seed. And they won the first round.
I thought they were going to beat the Spurs.
And then they really took the Spurs to the brink.
To the limit.
To the brink.
That was a great series.
And they're a 6 seed again. I sense similar magic. The Clippers are great. I like them a lot. But they just can't seem to get it done in the playoffs. Last year it looked like a great opportunity to them for them, and then they lost to Memphis. So I think that the Clippers are going to continue to struggle in the playoffs.
And mind you, they won the first 2 games of the series, and they dropped 4 in a row.
Exactly. They just find a way to lose in the playoffs, and Golden State last year found a way to win.
There you go.
So that's exactly why I'm going with the Warriors.
That's a good point.
Take this series. I know it's a good point. That's why I said it. I only say good points. Anyway, we shall see. It's going to be some interesting basketball over the next few months in the playoffs, and we will be discussing it plenty in our future shows. Now we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back to talk some awards.
Mourn her death.
It's a celebration of our art. Again, still we're celebrating the passing of someone who gave us so much. And as I say to everyone here, let's celebrate the life.
Producer L.A. Reid says Houston's music will impact performers for years to come.
When you're as great a star as Whitney, when you're the gold standard of singing, you